Are human beings inherently good or inherently evil? Okay, I'm going to tell you what I believe first, and then I'm going to tell you why what other people believe I believe is incorrect. So first, we go to Genesis. God made human beings, and when he made them, he said it was good, which means their desires were good, and everything that they wanted was a God-given desire. Now, we fill our desires with wrong things, and when we fill our desires with things that have just a little bit of poison in them, they kill us, just like rat bait. Rat bait is 99% good food and just 1% poison. It's that 1% poison that poisons the batch or poisons the lump or kills the rat. Because it's such a little amount, he doesn't think it'll kill him, but it does kill him. And it takes repeat feedings, which is why we get the concept of sin really very similarly to rat poison, that basically it is that repeat sin that kills us. And which is why we grew up as children thinking if you touched the hot stove, it would immediately kill you. If you stuck your finger in the outlet, it would immediately kill you. And so if I touched the hot stove and it took me touching the hot stove 50 times to kill me, or if I stick my finger in the outlet and it makes me feel good, and I do it again and it makes me feel good, and I do it again and it makes me feel good, and I do that, but after 10 years it kills me. That's kind of what's happening with alcohol addiction, pill addictions, steroid addictions. All these different things that people get into are producing death because they are psychologically expecting that sin should immediately result in death, but many times it takes 5+ years. A lot of us have experienced even the sin of fornication and sleeping with multiple people without being married to over our lifetime. And we've experienced the fruit of that sin by nature of the way sin works. And I've experienced those without caring what God thought. Sin really is sin because it hurts you. It's not got to do with God not wanting you to do it and you not doing it for God's sake. You need to not sin for your sake, because it says in the Bible that the sin of fornication is a sin against yourself. All sin is really abuse of your body, okay? And so why is this important? To understand whether or not human beings are inherently good. Okay, so if you fill a good desire with a bad thing, you'll hurt yourself, okay? And so the world typically looks at laws from our government as ways to keep inherently evil people from hurting each other, or evil people from hurting good people, really. And so there's kind of these two groups of how do you have evil human beings and good human beings? Okay, you have misled human beings and correctly led human beings. Correctly led human beings are the good ones, and the bad human beings are misled. Here's why they're misled. Because if they're misled, then that means as a whole, human beings want good things, but they fill the good desires with bad things, thus causing evil. And so evil is really filling a good desire the wrong way. In other words, a thief desires financial blessing, but he steals something that's not his. A man that commits adultery wants a wife, but he sleeps with a wife that's not his. Fornication in the same way, he's not marrying that woman, and because he's not marrying that woman, that hurts that woman and him, because he just serially moves and trashes through women and sleeps with one and then blocks her and starts talking to another, sleeps with her, and it just becomes a serial sex act that basically all women are as an object used for his pleasure. And so sin really is defined by filling a good desire the wrong way for one core reason, and that is by serving self. We get into sin because we are looking to serve ourselves, and we're not looking to serve the whole or others as we are a part of the whole. And so it's kind of like this. You're like a slice of the pie, okay? You're not the whole pie. If you try to serve yourself as though you were the whole pie, you get into a place that you produce death every time. And because what pleases you will kill you. If you overeat, if you eat whatever you want, it'll kill you. It'll cause obesity, it'll cause a heart attack, it'll cause diabetes, all these other issues. If you drink alcohol, guess what? It'll make you happy. Oh, it absolutely will. After 10 years or so of that, your liver's going to be freaking pickled, and you'll have a lot of other issues, even if you manage to keep that alcohol poisoning to like just a minimum, to where you're just tipsy and you're not drunk, and your judgment is skewed when you're under the influence, and you do other things that are bad for you when you do that. So there's just a ton of evidence that shows that things that please ourselves are bad for us. And so there's a line, because understanding what sin is and what good actions are comes from understanding what benefits the whole. And so if we learn that we can't trust ourselves, we get into a dangerous place. It's like, oh my God, how do I know what's healthy for me and what's bad for me? If everything that pleases me is killing me, the church and religion says, then I don't know what to do. Well, here's a really simple rule. You're one slice out of the pie. If serving you hurts the rest of the pie, don't do it. If serving you helps the rest of the pie, do it. Here's an example. Exercising and eating food in a healthy way that doesn't get you overweight, is that going to hurt the rest of the people in your group, like in a church or something like that? Or in your household, in your family, right? In your family? No. Eating in moderation and exercising is not going to hurt the rest of the people in your family. Now, what if you exercise all the time and you eat obsessively like a bodybuilder, and you don't associate with any of the other people in your group? Well, that's going to hurt the group, because isolating yourself from them is going to keep them from some core relationship with you. What about if you overeat? Okay, well, if you overeat, you're setting an example for the group, and you'll mislead the group, and all the group will be easier to influence and follow your example. And if you experience pain from obesity, and you experience a lack of health from obesity, and that creates a bad example, and they do the same thing, then you're hurting them too. So yes, that would be a sin. And so by the same law, we can look at everything, that when you get drunk and you sleep with somebody, and then but you don't want them to be your wife or your husband, so you basically just want to use their body for your own pleasure. That fornication is a sin, because you don't really care about that person, not enough to actually live with them for the rest of your life. And so you're sending them a message that they're not worth enough to actually stick around. They're only worth enough for you to use for what pleases you or what pleases them. And so you're teaching a very incorrect message. And so yes, that would be harmful to the whole. So what is good for you is defined as a good decision for you to make when you take into account yourself as it relates to the whole. And so your goal is not to serve yourself. Your goal is to serve the whole, which includes yourself. And this is how you can get over the power of sin. And biblically, the definition of sin is by following the knowledge of good and evil. That in Genesis, God said to follow the Holy Spirit, aka eat of the tree of life and its fruit, which the fruit of the Spirit is the fruit of the tree of life, I believe. And the knowledge of good and evil, the tree of knowledge of good and evil, a tree is symbolic. Just like a serpent is symbolic of Satan, a tree is symbolic of two decisions, a choice. Because when you come to a fork in the road, or a branch in the road, or a tree, you have the tree produces fruit, which means that this path produces fruit and this path produces fruit. The knowledge of good and evil is your ability to decide between the two paths. And here's the problem with following the Holy Spirit versus following your own knowledge. Your knowledge will lead you to please yourself, because it only has you in mind, not the whole pie. The knowledge of the Holy Spirit, the leading of the Holy Spirit, His Spirit lives in all of you. And so it takes into account all of you, because it honors the Holy Spirit as a whole, the whole pie, not just one piece of the pie. And so when you act selfishly, you hurt the whole. And when you hurt the whole, you hurt yourself, because you are meant to be a part of a body.